Welcome to Cooking with Dr. Singh. I'm Kendra. You've received all my emails with the North Bay Regional Health Center Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us. We have Dr. Singh here today, and we have Dr. Neva Phantom Tremblay, who is our sous chef today. And this is our fourth installment of Cooking with Dr. Singh. So many of you have been attending these since our very first one, two Julys ago. So thank you so much. In the last 2 years, the cooking series has raised more than $80,000, supporting several care areas, including regional Aboriginal mental health services, the patient clothing cupboard, and surgical care. And today, of course, it's supporting minimally invasive surgical equipment. I just want to give a special thank as well to a few of our friends that are here behind the scenes. We have some incredible helpers. We have Ed Regan, Marianne van der Dusen, and Sam Harvey here helping with all the tech. Especially today, I'm so grateful that they're here today, volunteering their time and lending their expertise. Also want to just do a quick little shout out and thank you to Rebuild Resources for a special event sponsorship of this, as well as Dave's Fresh Co for all the gift certificates and swag they provide. As mentioned, funds raised today are supporting the upgrade of minimally invasive or laparoscopic surgical equipment for the operating rooms at the hospital. We've got two of our wonderful surgeons here. If you want to pipe up with questions in the chat, I'm sure they'll be happy to answer any of your surgical questions. And your participation today for this event has raised over $12,575. So thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. Singh. You guys are all enhancing healthcare close to home right here in North Bay. Although we have people from all over the country here today. So thank you. So before I hand things over to Dr. Singh, I have a special presentation to make. At the foundation, we have a very special program called the Grateful Family Program, where patients and family members can honor an individual or individuals, such as a physician, with a donation. These Golden Heart Award recipients are then celebrated among their peers. And today it is my honor to present Dr. Singh with one of these special awards. This donation was made by Christine Piche, who says, I was admitted December 30th, 2021 and remained in hospital until January 10th, 2022. The care I experienced was phenomenal, and I truly made my stay at the hospital bearable. The nurses were so kind, compassionate, and very patient. Their care was that of angels, and they truly are my heroes. From having to deal with unhooking me from the NG canister countless times, to making me tea, giving me popsicles, and helping me in any way they could, I will never forget them. So thank you, Dr. Singh and Dr. Menzies, for your expertise and making it possible for me to have the best test, every test that I needed. Each and every one deserves recognition. I can never thank everyone enough, and my heart is truly grateful for everything that was done for me. I wish I could hug everyone. So congratulations, Dr. Singh. I believe this is your 5th Golden Heart Award. So we've got a certificate here for him, and I'll make him pose for a photo afterwards.
Sounds good.
So thank you so much. And it is now my pleasure to hand you over to Dr. Singh and Dr. Phantom Tremblay. Have a great dinner, everyone.
Welcome again to the Cooking with Dr. Singh series. I'm glad everybody's here and contributing to a great cause. I'll introduce Dr. Neva Phantom Tremblay to talk more about the fundraiser and what we're doing. And in the meantime, you can turn on your stoves to medium heat, start warming up the 2 batches of different onions we talked about in the recipe. So put one in one pot and put one in the other pot. And then I'll let Dr. Tremblay talk about the fundraiser.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. It's a new experience for me. I'm used to being chef and not sous chef. So we'll see how this goes.
Don't take over.
Right. Yeah. All to say, I've never really made Indian food before. I usually just eat it. So this is great. So thank you so much for joining us. We are working to raise money, as we've mentioned a few times, for a major upgrade really in our minimally invasive surgery. So that's basically laparoscopic surgical equipment. Basically, we offer cutting edge surgery here in North Bay, and we really like to be able to have the equipment to match our procedures and our skills. And certainly the community has been very supportive of us, and we really appreciate all of the donations, and every little bit of help, every little bit helps. So we're really excited, yeah, to be here.
Great. Thanks for coming and helping out.
Absolutely.
So I'll just go over some of the things that I prepared ahead of time. So I made my okra, pre-cooked it a bit. Okay, should look like that, dark green and a bit soft. This is the pulp of the eggplant. Okay, kind of should look like this. I have 3, but I'll probably use 2 of them. I think the recipe asked for 2 eggplants. This is the peas for the eggplant dish. So we're gonna start with the eggplant dish and add the peas to the onions, but we'll go through the rest of the, here's your cherry tomatoes again for the eggplant dish. Okay. If you had any extra okra left over, I made some okra fries today. It's basically based on the recipe of pakoras we did a while ago, and use the same batter, cut the okra in long pieces and batter it up and fry it. And basically you get okra fries. So as for the eggplant skin, again, you can do the same thing, batter it up, fry it. I've actually air fried the skin and then made chips and added a bit of salt and pepper to it, and they taste pretty good as chips as well. So does anybody have any questions before we actually start? Give a couple of minutes for that.
Eggplant is going to even be cooked. I didn't know it's supposed to bake at the oven for an hour or whatever.
Hi, everyone. We just ask that you please mute yourself. If you just move your mouse on your computer and sorry, I'm getting feedback here. If you just move your mouse on your computer, there's a little microphone in the bottom left-hand corner, or if you tap your iPhone screen or tablet, there's a little microphone. Just make sure that has a red slash through it.
Good. So why did I choose these 2 dishes, eggplant and okra? They're actually one of my favorite dishes growing up and eating them with naan. Okra I like over eggplant, but both dishes are amazing. So we'll start with the eggplant dish. So get your onions, turn it to sort of medium-high heat or to high heat. And then what we're going to do is add peas to this mixture. Now turn on high heat first.
Correct. Do I get to start?
You can do whatever you want. So I have a bit more than a cup of peas in there, but it doesn't really matter. They kind of dehydrate as you cook them anyway. So you're going to stir this on high heat, for a few minutes until the peas are a bit cooked. Okay. And then after we do that, as per the instructions, we'll add the pulp of the eggplant. So we'll cook this on high heat. So let your stoves get to high heat, stir fry it for several minutes. And then once the peas are kind of softened a bit, we'll add the eggplant pulp. Have you ever had this dish before?
I have not, no.
Okay.
Kind of wishing I pre-ate because it smells so good in here.
The reasoning behind the 2 sets of onions is there's really good tastes of caramelizing the onions at different levels, basically. So making the onions just transparent light brown is a different taste versus, a bit of a darker brown of onions with the garlic and ginger and spices. So it adds different flavors and different textures basically to the dish. And again, eating with naan, again, it kind of brings everything together. Can you eat this with rice? Sure. But eating with naan is much better basically. So we'll stir it on high heat until the peas are softened. And then we're going to add the pulp of the eggplant. You could add the cherry tomatoes after this, but I usually like to add them afterwards because they cook pretty quickly and soften pretty quickly. Yeah, so in our language, this is called either Baingan Bharta. Baingan means eggplant, or we just call it Bharta, P-A-R-T-H-A, which is just an eggplant dish. Growing up, I never actually liked the skin of the eggplant. I don't know if it's texture but I always loved when my mom made this, which is just the pulp of the eggplant.
So how spicy is this?
I added some red chilies because then I didn't really add any red chili pepper powder.
Okay.
So I added that at the beginning when I sauteed the onions. So use all the eggplant pulp, including the seeds. And then the cherry tomatoes, you don't have to cut. You can quarter them, half them, or use them full, doesn't matter. Yeah, so you made batches of 2 different onions. So you can put them all together, then divide it into 2, one for the okra, one for the eggplant. How's it looking there, Nina?
Yeah, it's looking good. Mhm. I would say the peas are softened.
You think so?
I don't know.
I
Sous
use,
chef.
I use frozen peas too, so.
Yeah,
Give it a couple more minutes.
yeah, sure.
What's your favorite Indian dish?
I like the pretty mild stuff, I'll be honest with you. So
Sure.
like kormas and
Yeah.
I like the lentil dishes, dals, but
Okay.
I don't tolerate spice very well.
I think a lot of people don't, if they haven't eaten it or grown up with it.
Correct. Yeah, I grew up in Northern Ontario, like 5 hours north of here. So I met my first chili when I was 18.
That's
You know?
Kapuskasing?
Correct.
Mm.
Not a lot of spicy food in Kapuskasing.
Yeah, so keep stir frying that. And then I have the pulp of the eggplant here. So I'm gonna add, that's 1 eggplant. And beat that up a bit. Here's the second one. Keep the seeds in it. I have a bit of sweat from the eggplant I'm gonna put in there as well. And we'll just stir that on high heat as well. We'll
So
try to break-
am I trying to break
Yeah.
this up a little bit? Okay.
yeah, you can try to break down the eggplant.
Morsely,
More slate like
morsely
you do
the
in
eggplant.
surgery.
Correct. You got to keep it technical, Ralph.
So on high heat, we're gonna stir fry this for a bit until the eggplant's kind of a uniform texture, okay? I don't know why this reminds me, but I want to do another shout out. I forgot to at the beginning, but there's a young lady celebrating a birthday today, Martine. So just want to wish her a happy birthday and hope you enjoy the dinner with your family and friends. Yeah, so keep stirring this on high heat until the eggplant pulp kind of breaks down and is uniform. The good thing about baking it, the baking adds a different flavor to it. And then stir frying it on the stove top with the spices adds a different flavor. So there's multi-layers of flavor in this and textures basically.
So it should look like this. I don't know if people can see, but that's what it should look like, right?
Yeah, so
I'm
getting
doing
there.
well.
Yeah.
Are we trying to get this to brown, Rav, or?
More become consistent texture.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I should keep stirring it?
Keep stirring
Okay.
it, try to break it down
Yep.
basically. Yeah. While you do that, I'm gonna drop some coriander.
Sounds good.
Oh, I think we're okay. Never mind.
So what I do is I buy fresh coriander and chop it up and freeze it basically. And it's easier when I'm cooking because I cook so often that having coriander in the fridge goes bad quite quickly. So I buy a bunch, chop it up and then freeze it and I can use it anytime I cook basically. So we're gonna do a little bit more until it's more uniform basically. Does anybody have any questions at this step? Everybody's following?
Where are your dogs?
My dogs are locked in the sunroom, but we can let them out in a bit, but we'll see if we can get a shot of them. So we're almost getting there.
Mine is getting quite dry. What do I do?
Yeah, that eggplant's just kind of melting, eh?
It
That's
just
good.
melts and it becomes
Mhm.
like,
Somebody asked that theirs is getting quite dry. What can we do?
that's okay. Just turn the heat down.
More eggplant sweat?
Yeah. You want it to be a bit dry. It shouldn't go too dry because the eggplant is still a bit wet. The pulp is still a bit wet. So it shouldn't go too dry, but really it should be drier than not dry. I'm gonna add a bit of coriander. If you cut some coriander, great. If not, it's nothing, no big deal if you don't have it. There you go.
Making dreams come true.
I try.
You succeed.
So once it's this kind of consistency, I'm going to add the cherry tomatoes, basically. This adds a bit of color to it because the color is, you know, kind of bland of eggplant. So this adds a bit of color to it. I think Marianne would appreciate that. So we'll stir fry this a bit on high. Then what we're going to do eventually after a few minutes is turn this down on kind of low medium heat and then cover it, and we'll switch to cooking the okra. Pretty easy, eh? It's the prep.
It's the prep.
Yeah.
It's the prep. If only it was this easy at 5:30 p.m. when you come home from work.
It's true. So you can see 2 eggplants, how much you get from 2 eggplants. So
Yeah.
for family, 1 would be enough probably,
Yeah.
right? And this dish is pretty common across cultures. You'll see it in Persian food. Baba ganoush is kind of a variation of this, right? So it's a pretty common way to cook eggplant in a lot of cultures, basically.
So do you want those tomatoes to soften a little? Is that kind of the idea, or are they supposed to stay pretty crunchy
So that'll happen when we turn down low heat and cover
and
it.
just leave it? Okay.
It'll
Sounds good.
soften up just from that, basically. And if it sticks on the bottom, that's okay. It's hard to burn the eggplant in this kind of consistency. So when you see kind of this texture, then we can turn the heat down to low. You can switch it to another burner and cover it on low medium and let it simmer for about 10-15 minutes. That's what we'll do, kind of. We'll switch that to there.
Switch to here.
Renato asks if you can tell us a little bit about okra, because she's never used it.
So okra is pretty common in the Asian culture. You'll see it in the south of the US, like in Louisiana and stuff, in gumbo. And somebody who tried it for the first time said it's almost like fiddleheads, probably, or it's a combination of asparagus. What else did you say, Kendra? Asparagus, green beans,
A little bit, yeah.
green beans, kind of. It's been one of my favorite dishes. It's pretty versatile. Like I said, you can make okra fries, but typically it's made with onions. And the typical traditional name is Bhindi do Pyaza, which means double the onions to the okra, because that's what kind of gives it the flavor. So put the eggplant on low medium, cover it for 10-15 minutes, and then the tomatoes should soften and the eggplant should cook a bit more. So we'll switch to the okra. So you're going to do your onion mixture again on high heat for a bit.
So do you use fresh okra always or frozen?
Yeah. You can use either or.
Okay. Can you get fresh okra here year round?
Not year. I don't know if year round, but you
Yeah.
can get fresh okra.
Yeah, I've seen it intermittently.
Frozen is probably fresher, right?
Yeah.
But Fresco, ordered a lot for this cooking class, and actually went there the other day to get my okra, and they had okra, but they didn't have eggplant, and they said, well, everybody came in and bought some, so I had to go to my third grocery store. to
No
get
way.
eggplant. Yeah. How's everybody doing at this stage? Pretty easy so far?
Mm,
Yeah, that's another option.
sounds
too.
good.
Yeah. Another option for okra is actually grilling it on the barbecue. Yeah, spice it up a bit, salt and pepper or whatever, and then just grill it basically.
Yeah, it's a nice, I've used it as like a thickening agent for things like gumbos or stews or
Yeah,
whatnot,
yeah.
because it really has that
Yeah, for sure.
kind of texture. So
Anybody have fun with the slime with the okra?
it's something.
Yeah, it usually goes away after you cook it for a bit. So.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go on to the second part of the second dish tonight, which is the okra. So you have your onions, you had your sort of pre-cooked okra. It's not fully cooked yet, from my perspective. We want it a bit darker green than this. So we're gonna add that to the high heat onions, okay? That's fine. Probably the same thing. So somebody said they bought some Chinese okra, which is fine. Probably pretty similar to like there's Chinese eggplant as well, and you can probably use that as well. It's much smaller, but you have to buy several of those to make up for the typical eggplant or aubergine, basically. So we're going to stir fry this on high heat, get a sort of a sear on the okra. Kind of a similar plan to the eggplant. The okra is already softened up, and that's what you want, but you want it to become a bit of a darker green, basically. We'll see how the eggplant's doing over here on this side. Yeah, so it's kind of sweating a bit, and the tomatoes will kind of soften up like with that. And like I said, this has been on the stove for now 15 minutes or so, and it hasn't really dried up. And it likely won't dry up because the pulp is quite wet. What's your favorite lentil? Have you tried different lentils or certain kinds?
Do you mean like lentil dish or lentil color?
Color.
I cook with lentils sometimes. So I think I like the red lentils best if I had to pick.
Yeah, they're pretty easier to cook and they're pretty fast to cook.
Yeah. I make a nice like coconut lentil dish, actually. It's
Oh,
the one thing
interesting.
that I wouldn't be ashamed to let you try.
Sounds good.
That's literally the limit of,
I'll
Yeah.
look forward to lunch at work one day.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, coconut's interesting to add to dishes, you know, in that sense.
Remember that time you accidentally brought me food without checking the spice level? Remember that one?
Yeah, that had too much turmeric in it.
No, it had too much
much
chili. Coward lunch.
I think you and Kevin
Like
didn't
I thought-
tolerate it.
Like I thought we were friends.
Sabotaging your
Right?
So you're gonna stir fry this on high until you sear the okra and it becomes a bit of a deeper green. If it doesn't become a deeper green, that's fine too, but as long as it's softened and seared a bit. It shouldn't have any slime in this portion because that's kind of in the middle portion of cooking it from yesterday. So keep stirring it on a high heat for a bit. And we're going to do the same thing after a few minutes, is cover it basically, and then put on low heat, low medium heat.
Can people see what this looks like? Yeah, I don't need to hold it up. We're good. For the people in the back.
Again, these are drier dishes, great to eat with naan. They don't really have a sauce to it, so harder to eat with rice, but still possible. Or quinoa, whatever grain you choose to eat it with. But again, typically this is eaten with a flatbread of some sort, naan, roti, whatever your liking is in that sense.
Do you make your naan?
I've never made naan actually,
Yeah.
but I've come across a recipe of stovetop naan.
Yeah.
Um,
I've tried, but it just doesn't taste the same.
it takes a lot of practice.
And probably a tandoor oven.
Yeah.
Not quite there. I've made it on, I have one of those wood burning pizza ovens. So
Oh,
I've made
cool.
like decent naan.
Right.
Not perfect, but
But it takes a lot of practice for that. Even the simple flatbread we call roti is
Mhm.
tough. Like it's amazing to see, my mom and her generation, when they roll it out, it's like a perfect circle.
yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
like, how do you get there?
How do you get there? Years of practice. Like surgery.
Yeah. I recently came across this saying, they talk about the 10,000 hours, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's the Malcolm Gladwell.
but somebody
theory.
debunked it.
Oh, yeah.
They actually said it's all about the quality of practice.
I guess.
Versus
yeah.
number
It's not
of
just numbers.
hours,
I
right?
could see that.
So that was an interesting thing. I got to read more around that because
Yeah.
we always talk about the 10,000 hours,
Yeah.
but that 10,000 hours could be poor quality,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Like, because nobody talks about the quality aspect of the time spent. So,
Yeah.
so some people have been theorizing the 10,000 hours you may not need is all about the quality you put in and what you actually practice.
Hmm.
It's like in surgery, I was always taught each step in surgery should be purposeful, right? Like there shouldn't be any wasted steps.
Right.
Unless it's emergency surgery, sure.
Yeah.
But so I always kept that to heart. Like each step should have a purpose to it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. One of my one of my best preceptors in residency. That
Yeah.
was exactly it. Don't waste any movements.
Yeah.
Like efficiency,
Yeah,
get it done. The quicker you're done
and exactly. And
in
I
terms of not speed, but efficiency,
I
right?
think that's why they probably switched to the competency model.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because really, is the hours really relevant, or is it the quality?
Yep.
Competency, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So your okra dish should be turning a bit darker. It's very subtle, but it is. And it's becoming more softer, which is what you want. So another few minutes on high heat, then you're going to turn it down and cover it up for another 10, 15 minutes or so. How's everybody doing? Any questions, concerns?
So where do you get your non-locally? Do you like,
Sometimes I'll get it from Indra's, like
yeah,
fresh,
yeah, they
or
make
just go to
nice,
Sobeys or something. and
okay, okay. Yeah, Indra's has really nice naan.
I like making pizza on it.
Yeah, yeah,
It's pretty simple.
yeah.
How many people in the audience is first time trying eggplant and okra Indian style?
One.
One. Great. Now, so this is almost like
Almost
yeah.
ready?
almost 10th of the class. Turn this down a bit more. So that's what the eggplant should look like. The tomatoes are softening up. It's becoming more consistent, almost like a paste, basically, which is what you want. So with the naan, you can just scoop it up. I think in Persia, what they do is to this dish, they add an egg, I think, on top when they serve it, from what I recall. I don't know if there's any Persian people taking the class tonight, but or people can verify that if they've tried that dish. That's the consistency you want, and I'm going to turn down the. I'm going to turn off that burner because there's still some heat there. So. How to what?
I'm guessing that maybe their eggplant's not breaking down like first.
Oh, so maybe the one they didn't break it, they didn't bake it long enough. So what they can do is just break it down with your wooden spoon or whatever you're using to stir things.
Cook it for a bit longer.
Cook it for a bit longer, which is fine. You have one of these. You can use this to kind of break it down. It's okay. So you can use one of these to break down the eggplant. If you have one of these. Otherwise, if it's not breaking down, you can nuke it for a couple of minutes to, break it down a bit. But it should break down as you cook it. So you might have to cook it for a bit longer, which is fine.
Absolutely.
With naan, it's even better. Great. We're going to have a good next class, I think. So that's looking a bit seared more and darker green.
Yeah, a little bit of brown bits in there.
So that's
and-
what you want. The seeds you can tell is
Perfect.
we're a bit brown as well,
Yep.
the seeds.
Yeah.
So that's the stage you want to get to. And then we'll turn it down on low to medium, and then we'll cover it for another 10 minutes or so.
Monica's asking what to do with the leftover eggplant. You can salt eggplant, they cook it down.
And is it the baked eggplant?
Yeah, baked eggplant.
Good question. They didn't use it all? Well,
Like
I didn't
little-
use it all. I baked an extra eggplant. So
You can make some baba ganoush.
you can
It's
make baba
nice.
ganoush, you
Pretty easy to make.
can, you can make the dish again at some point. You can freeze it, many options. You can cook extra and take it to work and feed your colleagues, right? You can drop it off here and I'll use it.
Renee is suggesting eggplant parmesan.
Cool. Is it cooked or uncooked that they have left over? If it's uncooked, You can make pakoras, you can make tempura, you can do lots of things. Yeah. Yeah. You can add it. It won't make a difference to the dish if you have extra left. You might have to add a bit more salt and stuff to, even out the flavors, but the extra eggplant should be fine.
Smells great.
How's everybody doing there? I think the dogs are enjoying this show too.
We have a captive audience.
Growing up as a kid, when we would visit family friends, they all knew I loved okra and they would cook it for me, like when we would visit them. So it was known that I loved okra. Yeah.
I did not know that about you.
Yeah. Eggplant.
Your
is
dog's
good too.
new.
Huh?
Your dog new.
Yeah. He's the rascal. He's only 2 years old and causing trouble.
So how long do we cook this for?
Probably another 10 minutes or so.
Well, don't do that.
Just on low heat.
Mhm.
And, yeah, you can serve it with naan. I'll probably garnish it with a bit of green onion. You can garnish it with fresh coriander, whatever. I'm gonna add some coriander to this as well. You have some.
Do you ever use dried coriander? Is that like a big no-no?
It's more aesthetic, right? How it
Oh, this looks a lot nicer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's looking, yeah, almost like it's pretty good.
Mhm.
So just turn this off, burner. Perfect.
So do you eat the okra fries separately, or is that, do you ever use that as a
Try it.
garnish? I will. I've been looking at them.
It was triple the size before you came.
Oh, was it? Mm.
What do you
Mm.
think?
Very nice.
Yeah. So I used chickpea flour batter.
Mm.
I had a bit of salt and pepper and red chili pepper powder.
Just not too much.
Just not too much.
Yeah, very good.
And then I cut the okra lengthwise and quartered it basically.
Okay,
And then just mixed it up with the batter and
very good.
fried it basically.
Yeah,
It's hard to air fry this because the batter is kind of liquid.
it just falls off, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So you just use oil and air fry.
Mhm.
But I tried these at a restaurant in Toronto and I said, oh, these are cool. Like, because we make pakoras with everything else. So it's not common to make it with the okra. So if you have leftover okra, this is what you can do. Eggplant, you can freeze it and use it another time. Make baba ganoush, like you said, and have it as an appetizer when people are over. But yeah, it's the first time I tried making this.
Yeah, really good.
Robert says, sounds like the dog's hungry. Also, Wade says, we have never bought eggplant. We got two different ones. One called Chinese eggplant, the other was just round. Which one did you use?
I use the typical ones you see at the grocery store, like the dark, deep purple, larger size. The Chinese ones are longer and lighter purple. But I've cooked with Chinese eggplant as well, and it kind of turns out the same.
And Jim wants to know where they can get a can you smell what their is cooking.
I will talk to my sister and where she got it from. How's that? She gave that as a gift to me. And the apron I'm wearing, I think I mentioned before, my niece and nephew gave to me. And one of my friends, Adam Vaughn, I'm not sure if he's online, but he made these aprons based on my Instagram handle name. And I think Kendra's saying there's a prize for one of these. So yeah.
Nice. Sizzling seek. I love it.
Yep, Adam Vaughn, EV Designs. Hey, he does some good work. So shout out to him too. Shout out to Bob. I hope your golf game is better than mine. I'm looking forward to going up against you this summer.
I will not assist you on that. I'm out.
You're not playing golf?
I've never golfed in my life.
Medical Society?
Nope.
Maybe,
I
maybe
support
you
from
can
the
team up with Dr.
sidelines.
Kumar because he only plays once a year too.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, mini putt is like the extent of my skills.
Any final questions before you guys enjoy dinner? This was a quicker class than usual, but I think the prep time yesterday probably helped, and simple dishes to make and but enjoyable to eat.
It's asking for painting in the background you made.
Sorry, say that again.
Is the painting in the background one of yours?
I'm not that talented, but it's a artist from Vancouver, BC. Sam's Original Art is his Instagram name, and he kind of does these, how would you describe it? Landscapes of BC. Marianne, how would you describe his technique?
Very form oriented, lots of color, very
Yeah.
rich, heavy brush strokes.
Yeah, so very form oriented colors, simple forms, you would say?
Yeah.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of a simple version of the group of seven. Yeah. I'm just going to plate one of these.
On your own.
That looks good. You can see how the okra dehydrates a lot, right? Voila.
Beautiful.
I didn't warm up the naan yet, but
Mm.
but that's how it's going
You
to
can't
look.
tell.
And it tastes great with naan. Can't go wrong. So the different textures, different caramelized onions will give different flavors. Baking the eggplant gives a different flavor to it. And the okra doesn't have a strong taste at all, but it's the texture and that mild taste with the onions that will give it the distinct taste for the dish. You can add a bit of side yogurt to this. We taught that before in terms of raita and the ingredients for that. Yeah.
So where do you get your recipes? Are these like family heirloom recipes or?
Good question. So I think our mom started teaching us when I was 10 years old.
Okay.
And there's like, she tells a story, I think I told this before. She found us, me and my brother, cooking, and we just threw everything into a pot and without knowing, like
Yeah.
unpeeled onions,
Oh,
unpeeled
gosh.
potatoes. And so when I was 10, my brother 11, she started teaching us how to cook. And I think I've told this story before where my dad asked her, why are you teaching the boys how to cook? And she kind of looked at him and said, I don't want them to be like you, right?
Oh.
So she was very progressive.
Yeah, it's a
over
good
time,
skill to have.
and, great skill to have. Great, it's a memory, a part of her you keep with you
Mhm,
always,
mhm.
right? Because every time you cook, you're gonna remember your mom because this is how she taught you, right?
Yeah,
Over the years, certainly I've added my ways of doing things.
right.
I'm a traditionalist in the sense what she taught me, but I kind of veer off a lot.
Okay.
And try different things.
Mm.
So the core of it's for my mom.
Great.
And then,
Any recommendations for those of us who don't have an Indian mother? Other than beg for adoption?
start with easy dishes, right?
Yeah.
Dals, chickpeas, those kind of things. And just experiment.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I've done over the years, right? And then trying to do fusion, right?
Mhm.
I think the next class we're going to do a fusion of Indian and Italian. I have a few dishes of that.
Nice.
Growing up, we lived in a very high immigrant, dense population when my parents came. So we were exposed to a lot of different cultures, Italian, Polish, like just endless. And my mom would incorporate things like that into our cooking.
Great. Yeah.
When they start putting pickles on pizza here, and I said, oh, we had this growing up. My mom used to put
Done
pickles
this
on her
before.
pizza, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of neat to see.
You're right. Great.
Yeah. But yeah, can't thank my mom enough because it's a great skill to have. It's creative, artistic. You're feeding yourself, feeding people, right?
Mhm. Yeah. It's relaxing.
It's relaxing, right?
Yeah.
And it makes you appreciate other types of food, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And what it has to offer. And I've always been a proponent of, cooking your own food, right? Prepping your own food because it's healthier. And
Mhm.
in a world where we have easy access to a lot of different foods, which in the end isn't real food,
Yeah.
right?
Correct.
Tastes good, sure, but the consistency should be home cooked meals, right?
Yeah. If you can't pronounce the ingredients,
Yeah.
you better avoid it.
It's good to indulge once in a while, but
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No preservatives.
question.
Renee asks what to do with part 2 of what was divided earlier. I'm assuming she needs the onions.
So yesterday when you did your prep, you had 2 sets of onions. One that was cut into 8s, where you kind of cooked it sort of light to brown to transparent. Then you had the other set of onions, which were really finely cut, added garlic, ginger, tomato, spices. You would add those together, but then split them into 2 because you're going to add some to the okra, some to the eggplant. Does that make more clarification? You can still add the other onions that were transparent, light brown, to the dishes at this stage too, because they're already partially cooked, and you can just warm them up and add them, and it won't really affect the dish in terms of a negative way.
Everyone's excited to eat.
Let me know how you guys like it, because these are different dishes that aren't. Whenever I've gone out with my friends to Indian restaurants, it's not typically ordered. Only if you know and grew up with it and tried it, will you know to order it as a different dish.
Yeah. I haven't seen these really on menus.
Very rare. If
Yeah.
they are, they're very
Yeah.
last of the list. And but again, they're very tasteful and great with eating with naan.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Everybody's ready to try their dishes and give feedback, and make sure you take pictures and send them to Kendra or post them, to social media. I want to thank everybody for participating and raising money for the hospital and the MIS program, or equipment for the laparoscopic surgery. Things are always evolving. Surgery, over the years becoming more and more challenging. A lot of the younger generation of trainees and people we hire have at baseline more skills than when I kind of graduated, because the exposure is more and more. So they actually come with skills needing these kind of resources and equipment. So it's great that we're raising money for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Neva?
No, not really.
Great. Everybody enjoy their dinner, and till next time. I'll leave it out there, Indo-Italian, for the next class, and we'll probably see you in 5 or 6 months in terms of the next class. Everybody have a good summer, stay safe, and take care.
I'm out. That smells so good.